She didn't scream when she found her husband face down in the shallow bend of the Powder River. She had knelt in that cold water, mud soaking into her dress, her fingers trembling on the back of his shirt, and not a single sound left her throat. But she screamed the next morning, after 3 long months of widowhood, when she saw Eli McCrae ride out of the red Wyoming dust like a ghost she had prayed never to meet again. Lily Hart had been alone long enough for most of Sheridan to forget she'd ever had a name beyond the widow on the Foothill Ranch. The world moved on fast out here. People died, cattle wandered, fences fell, and the only thing that stayed the same was the wind. Folks nodded politely when they saw her, but they didn't ask questions. And she didn't offer answers. But the fear in her eyes that morning made every ranch hand on Main Street look twice. She rode through town with her dress torn at the sleeve, her hair falling wild down her back, her hands shaking on the reins. She didn't stop for the blacksmith, who squinted after her with concern. She didn't slow for the 2 men on the saloon porch who spat tobacco near her mare's hooves. Even the preacher, giving her a small, pitying nod from the church steps, could not make her pull back on the reins. She kept riding. Past the well. Past the last row of hitching posts. Past the edge of town where the dry grass began. Lily rode until Sheridan disappeared behind her and the one ranch people whispered about rose up from the dust. The McCrae place. If you were in trouble, real trouble, the kind that stalks you through windows and speaks your name after dark, you rode to Eli McCrae. They said he didn't fear anything. They said he'd spent a winter in the high country alone and came back with a bullet scar and a look that shut men up mid-sentence. They said he'd once tracked a man across 3 counties without resting his horse. But nobody ever said he was kind. Lily dismounted, boots slamming the dirt, and marched straight up to him where he was pouring salt for a young roan colt. Eli looked up slow as sunrise, brows lifting just a fraction, his eyes glinting like someone who had already guessed what she had come to say. And for the first time since the funeral, Lily felt seen. Not pitted. Not handled. Seen. You followed, he asked. She nodded. Her throat felt tight. Tell me. So she told him. About the fences cut near her Foothill Ranch. The rocks thrown into her well. The shadow pacing beneath her window at midnight. The voice outside her barn whispering that a woman alone couldn't hold land in Wyoming territory. And last, because saying it made it too real, she told him the name she feared most. Harlan Voss. Eli's jaw tightened just a fraction, like an old scar had twitched at the memory. Everyone knew Harlan Voss. Cattle king. Land thief. A man whose smile never touched his eyes. The man who said her husband's death had been a trail accident. Lily stepped closer, her voice cracking. I didn't come for pity. I came because someone wants my land, someone wants me gone, and I need a man who doesn't scare easy. Eli wiped his palms on his jeans, looked toward the Big Horn Mountains rising gold in the distance, and then back at her, like he was measuring how much fight she had left. You ready for the truth that might come with this? He asked quietly. She swallowed hard. What if the truth is worse than the man who killed my husband? Eli saddled up. He didn't answer. She rode beside him back to Hart Ranch, her heart thudding with every turn of her mare's hooves. By the time the sun reached its harsh Wyoming gold, Ellie had inspected the leaning fence, the trampled hay, the thump she'd heard behind the barn the night before. He crouched low, pointing with his chin at boot scuffs she'd never have noticed. And then he saw it, a deep-notched boot print near the porch. A mark she'd seen before. On the boots of Harlan Voss's trail boss. The truth hit her like a blow to the ribs. It's Harlan, she whispered. It has to be. Eli didn't argue. He didn't need to. His silence confirmed everything. He studied the hay bale she tried to drag earlier that morning. He tapped it, motioned to the braces under it, then nodded at her. Too big for you to move. Sit on it so I can see what's wrong. She rolled her eyes, pulse jumping anyway. it was unfair how easily a man like him could do that to her, but she stepped closer and lifted her skirt slightly to avoid tripping. That was when she heard it. A soft, dry rattle. Right beneath her boots. Lily froze. A fat rattlesnake slid from the straw, tail twitching, head rising, fangs glinting in the sun. She stumbled back, catching her heel on the porch step. She pitched backward, and Eli caught her around the waist, steadying her with an arm that felt solid as a fence post. Her breath shook against him. Then one gunshot cracked the air. The snake dropped instantly. Lily stared at the spot where she had been about to sit. 1 second difference and she would be dead. Her stomach turned, her skin crawled, but Eli wasn't staring at her. He was lifting the dead snake carefully, frowning. "Why does it have a rope mark?" she whispered. A thin line pressed into the scales near the tail. Someone had tied it. Carried it. Placed it where she'd sit. This wasn't nature. This was murder. Eli set the snake down, dusted his hands, and exhaled like he was tired of the whole world and the men who tried to own it. He pointed out fresh tracks, big ones, narrow-heeled, with that same deep notch. Harlan Voss's men. The truth was no longer fear. It was fury. "We're not waiting for the next snake," Eli said. "We're not hoping the sheriff grows a spine. We set the stage. Tonight. Catch the man who thinks he owns your land." Her pulse kicked. She wasn't the same woman she had been 3 months ago. Something inside her had sharpened into steel. "I'm ready," she said. At dawn they planned. By mid-morning she was in Sheridan, playing the weary, broken widow while Harlan Voss lounged outside the saloon. She walked right past him, shoulders sagging, voice trembling just the way Eli coached. "A snake tried to bite me," she said softly. "Eli's gone back to his ranch. I'll be alone tonight on Hart Ranch." Harlan smiled his predator smile. She rode home straight back the moment she turned the corner. Evening fell. The sky turned purple. The land stilled. Lily lit a single lamp, left the door cracked, and waited with Eli's small pistol in her hand. 3 riders approached. Predators, not visitors. A man stepped into her doorway, bandana low, grin sharp. "Pack your things. Come quiet." "Go to hell," she said. The fight was messy and fast. She slammed a wooden block into his face. He lunged. She fired into the floor, Eli's signal. The thunder answered. Eli charged from the shadows with the force of a storm. But behind the barn, a second man crouched, hands raised, terrified. "Don't shoot," he begged. "I didn't want to hurt her. Harlan forced me. He paid extra for the snake. He's planning to burn the ranch tonight." Lily stepped into the lantern glow, pistol trembling, dust in her hair. "Why my land?" she demanded. The man swallowed. "A new cattle route. Shortest way through the foothills. Worth a fortune. He doesn't want to buy it. He wants to erase you." They dragged Voss in before sunrise. Sheridan woke to confession spilling like water in spring. Murder. Threats. The snake. The plan to burn the Hart Ranch to the ground. By breakfast, Harlan Voss was in irons. The town felt lighter. People tipped their hats at Lily with respect, not pity. It felt strange, but right. Later that evening, she and Eli sat on the same hay bale where death had waited for her. The sky glowed soft gold behind the big horns. Eli spoke quietly. "Land tests people. Same as life. You don't get to choose the hard days. Only how you stand through 'em." Lily smiled tiredly. "I'm tired of standing alone." Eli didn't speak. Not for a long moment. Then he turned her hand palm up, tracing the new calluses there. "Slow. Careful. Like he understood every mile she'd walked to get here. Sometimes life knocks you down so you can see who'll help you back up. Sometimes fear shows you the strength you didn't know you had. And sometimes the person you trust most arrives the moment you finally stop running.